Hey everybody, it's Professor Parish, and welcome back to English 109. We are officially in week 3, so if you can believe it, after week 2, we are a fourth of the way done with the class. So that's 25% done with English 109. I'm recording this on Sunday, fairly early, so hopefully if you've not turned in your assignments for week 2, which include your paper 1, your cause and effect paper, and other assignments, that you are getting to those by tonight. But I wanted to go ahead and record the video to introduce week 3. So with the introduction of week 3, we have a new paper to introduce. We've got some new assignments to go over. So I'm going to minimize myself and here shortly and go on what's going to be due this week. I do want to let you know that I am going to grade your papers this week. So some of your papers I've already graded and sent you feedback. Others you'll get feedback this week. Hopefully by Wednesday you'll have your papers back. With feedback from me and your grade. With your first, second, and third paper, you do have the option to revise it. So one of my big things as an English instructor is I believe that in the writing process, turning in a paper should not be the final step. I think you should have at least the ability to go back and revise your work to hopefully make a better grade. So with papers 1, 2, and 3, you do get the chance to revise. You basically get a couple weeks to revise, send those papers back in, and if your grade goes up, I will simply go with that. Your last paper, paper 4, we don't get to revise because it's due during finals week, but we are going to do some peer workshopping on it, so you will get some feedback, and when it gets closer to time, I'll talk more about that. But the big thing is, if you choose to revise your paper, it's totally optional. You don't have to. But if you do want to revise, you can. You just email me the revised version. All right? So with that being said, let me minimize myself over here in the corner. Here I am. And let's talk about this week's assignments for week 3. So week 3, you have a new grammar review to do. You also have textbook activity number 3. And then we're going to talk about compare and contrast and then the discussion forum. So with grammar assignment number 2, the file for it is right here. So I'm going to open it up and show you guys what it kind of looks like. All right. So grammar review number 3, basically it's going off of pages 443 to 445 in our English skills textbook. All you're doing is that you're writing a second sentence that comes after the first one in the textbook, and your sentence must start with the word that's in blue beside the question. So you're just basically writing details and answering questions. And then in activity 4 here, you're writing the word that logically connects the two sentences together. So what conjunction connects these two sentences to make them a coherent, complete sentence? It might be and, but, or, because, however, whichever conjunction works the best. And then below that, you're basically doing a similar activity number 1. And then we're going to do a little bit with semicolons. So our textbook will talk about semicolons, and the pages are listed here. It's going to be pages 448 to 450. But colons are those two little dots that basically preface a list or something that's about to happen. And then you have commas, which commas are pretty prevalent in our writing. But a semicolon takes the place of a conjunction. A semicolon is a very stylistic choice for a writer to use. If they don't want to keep using and, but, or to combine their sentences, they want to do something a little stylistically different, they might use a semicolon. And on page 448 in our textbook, they show you different applications for how and when you can use a semicolon. You don't have to, it's just a nice option to have as a writer. So what you're going to do in these activities here is on activity 6, you're going to tell me where the semicolon is needed. So you're going to write the word before the semicolon, put the semicolon, and then write the word after. So for example, I could do something like this. Let's say my word is storm, semicolon, however. That's all I need. I don't need you to write the whole sentence. I just need to know where is that semicolon in the example. And then down here, you're going to write the semicolon kind of the same exact way as activity 6. And then the final activity for the grammar review is you're going to write out the word before the semicolon or comma. So I want to make sure you know, when do I use a semicolon? When do I use a comma? And the main difference is your semicolon you're going to use if there needed to be like an and, but, or conjunction. Whereas a comma, there's not really the need for that conjunction. You're just putting it before an additional phrase or an additional piece of information. So that's the grammar review. And then the textbook assignment is activity 3 here. And to show you what it looks like, this textbook assignment's pretty easy. In your textbook are all of these. I wrote them out here, but they are in your textbook on pages 55 to 57. I want to know which of these 4 sentences is the main point or the P. So last week we did topic sentences where you wrote out the topic sentences and then you showed me all the supporting points. Well, you don't have to write those out this week. This week they're already written out for you. I just want to label one of these is going to be the P. One of these is going to be the point, the topic sentence. The other 3 are going to be the S's or the supports. So in each of these questions, I just want you to tell me, numbers 1 through 15, which one is the P and which one is the S, and which 3 are the S's. So there's only going to be one P, 1 point for each of these, and the other 3 listed are going to be S's. Part 2, you're just going to put an X. There's 2 passages in your book on pages 58 to 59. You're going to tell me which of those passages lacks supporting details. Which needs more information? Is it A or B? Which one is the least detailed? And you're just going to put an X by it. And that's it. That's the textbook assignment. That one should be pretty easy to do. So what that leaves us is our discussion forum and the compare and contrast papers. So I'm going to go to the discussion forum first for week 3. The week 3 discussion forum, there is a video. You can click the link right here. And then after you watch the video, it's about theses and main points, just kind of like the importance of your introduction, things like that. You're just going to watch the video and answer the 3 questions. So it should be a fairly easy discussion forum. And then we talked about revising. If you guys go to the resources page on here and you scroll down to week 3, I do have a revising handout. So you can see that here. The revising handout just gives you some information about the revising process. So there's just a little bit of information here on this page that will pop up. You can note here that the cause and effect, the revisions for paper 1 are going to be due by Sunday of week 4. So they're not due this weekend, but next weekend. So if you choose to revise paper 1, you have until next Sunday, which would be July 5th, to revise. And you'll be able to see that in your assignments folder as well. So that leaves the last thing to talk about this week, which is our compare and contrast paper. I don't know why it says compare and effect. That's wrong. Should be compare and contrast. So if you click on the link here, compare and contrast I think is a pretty easy paper because you're just showing the differences and similarities between 2 different things. So either how 2 topics are similar and also how they are different. So in chapter 11 of our English skills textbook, they give a lot of examples of compare and contrast and topics that could work. I've seen numerous students do various different compare and contrast papers. I've had students write papers about union jobs versus non-union jobs. And I've had students write papers about living in the city versus living in the country, or high school versus college. I mean, you've got lots of topics you can use for this. The big thing is you want to make sure that your topics have something similar about them, but also differences. So you can kind of compare and contrast those 2 topics together. So this writing prep is exactly like the one we did for paper 1. I just want you to give me something like this, where you tell me your introduction, what are you comparing and contrasting, what are your points going to be? And down here, I'll show you, our book talks about this too. There's 2 kinds of ways you can go about constructing a compare and contrast. I'll show you guys down here. So one way is what we call subject by subject. And that is where you have your introduction, and then you talk about item A, which could be, let's say, union jobs. So I would talk about union jobs like benefits, drawbacks. Did I like it? It's pretty easy. Then I would talk about item B, which would be non-union jobs. And I would talk about the exact same thing. The benefits, the drawbacks. Did I like it? And then I would probably do something where I would do which is better, and then have my conclusion. So you can see that here you're talking in a subject by subject format, and our textbook talks about this. You're going to be talking about one topic fully and then another topic fully, and then talking about which you prefer. So there's pros and cons to this. The pros is that you can talk about everything all at once about a topic so you don't forget anything. The drawback is you have to have this extra point before the conclusion where you really break down which you like better. The other option, which is the one that I normally do, is what we call, and I'll come over here, is what we call point by point. And in a point by point one, you have your introduction, so like we did before. But instead of talking all about union jobs, I'm going to break this up by point. So first I'm going to talk about benefits. And I'm going to do union and then non-union. Then I'm going to talk about drawbacks and do union, non-union. And then I'm going to do did I like it? And do both. And then have my conclusion. Because I don't need this which is better. I don't need this final point here in a point by point analysis because I'm talking about each of them together. So I could add an extra like who wins? Like did union win or non-union win the benefits? So I'm kind of doing this whole which is better right here. I'm doing the which is better in each of my little subpoints here. So I don't have to go back and have that extra point. And you can see in chapter 11, they're going to talk about these two structures and how there's pros and cons. But I want to see something like one of these. I want you to either give me a subject by subject outline or a point by point, depending on what your topic is and which you kind of lean towards. I will be honest with you. I have seen A papers from students that did subject by subject, and I've seen A papers from students that did point by point. So no form is better than the other. It's just which structure, which organization of your outline is going to work best for your topic. And I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, that's the compare and contrast. So just the thesis and your outline is due by Sunday. Going back to our assignment list, the only thing due Friday this week is your discussion forum post. Everything else is due by Sunday, but you are welcome to turn it in ahead of time, and hopefully I'll be able to grade it, especially your topics. I would like to get your topics graded earlier if I can. So if you get those turned in earlier, I can look at them and make sure that they're going to work. But yeah, so that is week 3. If you all have any questions at all, please feel free to let me know. As always, I'm going to be looking at your paper 1 this week and making sure that everybody's gets graded by Wednesday so that you have plenty of time to revise if you choose to do so. I will be doing office hours this week. My week-long class is over, other than writing a paper for it, which, like you, I'll get to it. So I will be back in my office answering my phone from 8 to 4:30 this week and answering my email as well. So if you need to get a hold of me, please make sure to do so. But otherwise, I really hope you guys have a great week. So far, everybody's assignments have been wonderful. Keep up the hard work. And if you have questions, let me know. I'll talk to you all again at week 4. In the meantime, have a great week and see you. Bye.